So I recently set out to achieve what I thought would be a fairly simple task of removing the fender strut covers on my Dyna to reveal the black fender struts. But when I got started, I found out that it's a lot more difficult than expected because removing the rear signal lights is way harder than it has to be, because this inner fender mount has a tiny hole that the wire goes through, and the clip doesn't fit through it. So, turns out you have to fully disassemble the signal light in order to get the bare wires that can then slide through. So when I went to look at YouTube to find a way to do this, I didn't find very many useful videos. I found a couple that were for road glides, and their setup is slightly different. So I figured after figuring out how to do mine, I'll do a little video to help other people figure out how to do theirs. So what I've already done is I've jacked the bike up. I've removed both of the rear shocks. This allows the swing arm to drop down and gives you more room to work inside the rear fender. Removing the shocks is pretty straightforward. You just jack the bike up, which takes the weight off the rear wheel, and then you remove both of the bolts holding the shock on and pull it off. So right now I'm going to take off the bolt that holds on the rear signal light, which is just on the inside of the fender, and then we'll work on disassembling the light. So I've removed the bolt. There's a couple little wiring clips that get in the way of doing that. I'll try and show those on the other side here. So the wire clips into this little spring right here, which brings the wire really close to the bolt in the top. So you'll have to slide it out of there first, as well as at the rear. You can see there's one higher up here, right there. So you can unclip the wire, just slides out of each of those spots before undoing that bolt. And then you'll unplug the signal wire. They're inside the tail light housing. So yeah, this is the left signal, this is the right signal, these two small clips. So yeah, now I'm just going to unplug that small clip, and then we'll work on disassembling the light. Alright, so I undid the wiring connector to get us more room here. So our next step is going to be to pull the lens off. And the way you do that is just put a flathead screwdriver into here. So I'll try and do that live here. Sorry, I've just got the phone resting on the seat, as it's my first video. So you just pry her out like this. Here's the smoke lens cover, and there's the rest of your situation. So I've got an LED one. Other times it would just be a bulb in here. So LED comes out much the same way as a bulb. You use the push it and twist. So here you can see I've got a little slot. You can just stick a flathead screwdriver in there, push down and twist counterclockwise, and she pops right out. So now is where it gets a little less straightforward. The next step is to pull out this whole housing. And if you're looking at it, you'll see 4 clips around the outside here, and you would think that you have to pry this rubber seal out to get it out. But this is one detail I was able to find in the road glide videos, is that that's actually not the next step. What you do have to do is get inside the main socket here and push it down to the point where you can see right here. Right here is where you have to get. Now, the guys in the Road Glide videos I saw had a small, not small, but like a bent wire sort of thing to get on both sides of this, which likely would work better, but I didn't have access to any sort of wire to bend like that. So what I found was I had these really small Allen keys. There you go. All right, so use a slightly bigger Allen key in the end here. But pulling up, you can see I've managed to free up this inner assembly. So now you just kind of feed the wiring through. Next step is you have this little clip on the outside where it's a black and a purple wire. The black wire here, sorry, black wire feeds up into here. And right where I just pointed my finger, you can see there's a little clip there. What you have to do is push that clip down and you pull the black wire out. So do that with my handy Allen keys here. Just push down, press that, and then this black wire just pull right out like this. So now, try and show you here. You have the black wire out and the purple wire going up the center, which feeds this center contact here. So what I'm going to do to buy us more room is I'm going to feed the black wire up inside here, which will allow us to pull the purple wire surrounded by this plastic little insulator up and out of this housing. And then we'll go over how to get that insulator off. Okay, so I've fed both wires up the middle, which just allows me to pull this center bit out, get a better look at it. So you can see that's all one piece, but it's got this little slot in it. So what I did, I take some side cutters and I just finish off that notch that's already started, so I can just slip the wire out the side, and then I can slip this insulator back on after I've finished removing the strut cover. You can use the same method obviously to change out light housings or to relocate your signals or whatever it is you want to do, but it saves you the messy cut and splice of the wiring. So I'm going to do the cut on this right now, and I'll show you afterwards what I've done. Alright, so here's a little plastic insulator keeper thing. This is the slot that I've cut, which just allowed me to do this. Pull it open and get the wire through. So now that the wire is free, we can pull both back through the housing. Okay, so I've pulled both wires out of this housing, and now we're just going to pull them out through the hole in the signal housing, which sounds simple, but there is a bit of a trick to it, because, well, first, because this guy put all his friggin' electrical tape on here. It's going to give me its own little headache. Okay. So what you have to do is pull the purple wire out first to give that clip that's on the black wire all the room it can possibly get to squeeze through this hole. So out comes the purple wire. Come on, sweetheart. So out comes the purple wire, and now you can see as the black wire comes out, That clip just barely fits through that hole. So there we go. Housing's off. Now we can just pull off this little spacer for the signal, and then with relative ease can pull the wiring through the fender strut cover and through the rear support, and there you go. Reverse the process once you removed your strut cover here, and you're golden. So I'll show you that too, may as well. Alright, so I've fed the wires back through. After removing the strut cover. And now we just need to stuff them back into the signal housing. So again, we'll start with the black wire, so it has all the room that it needs, followed by the purple wire. Oh, maybe get in there. There we go. Stuffed inside. We'll pull them in as far as we can with this stupid tape to get all the room that we can to work. Looks like that's what we're gonna get. So now we shove both wires back in the bucket so we have enough room to slip our modified insulator back over the purple wire. Get that spring inside there. That spring that keeps popping out is just to keep tension on the bulb when it's inside. There's no need to remove that or have any concern with it whatsoever. So now I'm gonna slip my split insulator back over top of the purple wire, starting as low on the wire as possible. All right, success. It's back on there. So now you pull the black wire back out. All right, so purple wire's in, black wire's out. Now we need to push that little tab that we pushed in to get the black wire out. We need to push that tab back out. So the best way to do that is with a pick or a really small Allen key like I've got, and going from this side to push this out. So I'll do that right now. There we go. So now I pop that back in, remembering that that little tab goes on the outside. Pull this rubber boot up. Get it out of our way. Black wire is reinstalled. I'm just going to pry out that tab a little bit extra to make sure it's not going to pop out unexpectedly. So, there she is. Am I showing you the right thing? Yeah. Pry that out, blocked in, and now you just pull your excess wiring back through. Push this little housing down. Throw that back in there. Push it down far enough that you can see we've got our 4 clips showing. And now what we have to do is push our bulb back in. Shit. Alright, so our bulb's in. Run a quick function test before we put everything back together just to make sure we didn't mess anything up. Don't forget to plug that cable back in. You unplug the beginning the taillight housing. Pop the left signal on. Oh, no go. Uh-oh. Unexpected surprise there. I found that what had happened was that this clip, this is the black wire clip, This is the side that's supposed to face into the socket. This little spring bit right here, this bit, had come unfolded and wasn't actually making contact with the bulb. So I'm not quite sure how that happened, but I managed to pull that out and straighten that out. So I'm going to reinsert this into the socket again, and hopefully we can get it in properly this time. Alrighty. So now you can see that spring bit there, right here, is protruding into the socket enough to make contact now, which it wasn't before. So let's hope it solved their problem. This is the time to test, by the way, not when you've put everything back together. So, yep, problem solved. Sweet. Okay, so now we'll stuff the socket back in the housing. Happy in there. One more function test. Still golden. Just make sure your rubber seal there is all in place as it should be. We'll stuff that inside. Careful the wiring. And then bring in that housing, the lens. Making sure one of those clips is facing the bottom where you pried it out from initially. Voila. Just as it was when we started. So now I'm just going to bolt that back up, and that's it. Finito.